now's a really good time to align what's important to you. Do I want to work for a big name just because it's a big name, or do I want to work somewhere that directly impacts change? Do I want to have ownership of something? Do I want to be somewhere, I feel like I've contributed rather than just being this little tiny clog in a huge corporate machine? Is that what you want?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Emerging Pod, where we guide emerging professionals into emerging careers. Today's guest is Sean Kennedy. Sean is a senior talent acquisition specialist at BenchSci, and we met at a Python meetup in London. We had a really nice chat about early careers in data science and thought it'd be fitting to have him as our first guest. Welcome, Sean. Good to have you.
Thank you, Sofiane. Thanks, Alex. Pleasure to be here. And thanks for having me on your first episode. I feel very honoured. As you said, my name's Sean. I'm a senior talent acquisition specialist for BenchSci. I focus on all of our recruitment for the UK and our expansion through the UK, building brand awareness and also finding the right people to join us on our journey of bringing novel medicines to people 50% quicker by 2025.
Tell us a bit more about yourself, your career journey. How did you end up where you are now?
But yeah, I'd love to. It's quite a weird story, in all honesty. Like most people, I fell into recruitment. However, most people have had office jobs and slowly worked their way to it. So about 10, maybe more years ago, I was in the army. I left school and I was like, what do I want to do? All my friends were doing A-levels, going to university, and I was like, that just seems, no offense, to anyone that goes and does university. But for me, it was like, I've just finished school. I don't want to go and do more school. I'm done. Get me out. And I never really paid much attention at school. And later on in life, I found out I had ADHD, so it explained a lot. But we had a guy from the army that came in to do this lesson. And I was so laser focused on what he was talking about. He was talking about, the fitness element, traveling the world, going and exploring different cultures, real discipline is what I really needed at the time. So I've never ever done this throughout school unless I was being forced to. He asked a question, I raised my hand straight away, knowing the answer because I'd been actually paying attention for once. And from that day, I was like, I need to join the army. And I did. Halfway through year 11, I got accepted into the army and left after school, did my basic training, then went out into the army, travelled the world. Brilliant. And then I got to the point where I was like, you know what? That was great. I need to try something new. I was in the army for 4 or 5 years, which was one of the most epic times of my life. Met people that I call brothers to this day, and the camaraderie and the experiences I'll never ever forget. So I'm so grateful for what I had gone through. Then I decided that I need to try my hand at something new. Because you can travel the world, right? But in the army, it's not exactly your free time. You're in the army still, and there's people still giving you orders. But I wanted to be a bit more free. So I left. I started working in a call center, which I would never recommend to anyone because it's hell on earth. I used to have timed toilet breaks, and coffee breaks, and then you'd have to sprint just to go to the toilet and then come back just to
Oh, wow.
If you were later, you were like, oh, you're longer than 5 minutes on that toilet break, buddy. I'm like, what do you want? I'm not going. I can't be quicker.
Be careful what you eat the night before.
Yeah, I've got to really stay clear of all nutrients and anything to stop myself. I'll have Taco Bell and Pizza Hut the night before. So yeah, I started working in this call center, and most people, I fell into recruitment. This is how I fell into it. I was on my way to a funeral actually with a friend of mine who's just started his own agency, and he's like, "How's work going?" I was like, "Yeah, it's good. I'm doing well, but I'm capped on what commission I can earn." He's like, "Oh, that's rubbish. Why don't you try recruitment?" And he started talking to me about recruitment. I was like, "Okay, yeah, sold." Interviewed at this company, started working agency, loved it, lived and breathed it for years and years and years. Agency recruitment. Got to a point where I'd kind of progressed through the industry. Got to senior, principal, manager, even to director. And agency recruitment is very good if you want to start earning like commission, learn the trade of recruitment, because there is a lot to learn. It's an ever evolving and ever educational industry. There's always ways to improve and always something to learn. Still to this day, like personal development is key within like recruitment, because people change, right? So we need to change. Now,
Jobs change. Yeah.
Jobs change, yeah. Like the whole industry changed. Like you've gone from a few years ago when it was people would look at, for example, jobs as in money, location, what they were doing. Now people look at jobs and they're like, home work-life balance. Yes, money is always important. As much as you love something, you're never doing it for free. Well, I don't know, maybe. Within reason. And people are looking at the cool jobs, not cool as in like, oh well, you're a really cool guy, but like stuff that's going to interest them. For example, our roles here at BenchSci completely different from any roles I used to work in agency, because it's working in bioinformatics, really cutting edge stuff and stuff that's going to impact people's lives. Me personally, if I was a software engineer, I'd be like, cool, sign me up. That's really interesting. Very different from like working like a digital agency, we just get like kind of campaigns coming in and, certain types of work, which all kind of a bit similar, but this stuff is really, really different. And so I learned a lot, and then I ended up working, going into talent acquisition, which is obviously the internal side of recruitment. Now, that's where I found my passion for the job again. It kind of relit a fire for me because I had the pressures taken away of trying to earn commission, which was great. So that pressure comes off you. But there's a different element to what you have to learn. You have to learn all this kind of brand new information. So you could have done agency recruitment for 20 years, but the talent acquisition, internal, is a completely different beast altogether. So I had to kind of refocus, relearn a lot of different things, or learn brand new things, not relearn, from scratch, and to build myself up. So a few years I was working at one place, very kind of standard role. Then I started contracting, which I would always recommend someone to do if you want to kind of broaden your horizons, dip your toe into different things. Contracting is a great way of doing that. And it gives you your own kind of personal flexibility as well. Highly recommend, even though IR35 is a nightmare, and I wouldn't wish that stuff on my worst enemy, but it is worth doing. And then I eventually started thinking, okay, I don't want to keep asking where the coffee machine is every 3 months. Like, it's getting a bit boring. So I was like, I want to work somewhere where it's interesting, has a sense of purpose, there's a good culture. And I did my own research, and I always recommend, always do your own homework. Don't just listen to what a recruiter tells you or like what their advert tells you. Dig in deep, lean into it. Try and research the company as much as possible. Glassdoor, what are they doing on LinkedIn? How have they written their adverts? Look at the language they're using when they're talking about their people. Do they use the term people or employees? Little things like that. And I found BenchSci, automatically knew I had to apply. And the first message I got was, we'd love to speak with you. Really warm message. I was like, okay, I made the right choice. I went through the process, and now I'm here. So that was my elongated path to eventually getting here, from being a soldier to an agency recruiter to an internal recruiter, but in recruitment, nonetheless.
That's a really fascinating story. Thanks for sharing that. So I suppose at BenchSci, do you recruit students at the moment? What kind of roles are you looking out for, and what's the process?
So we're always looking for talented people. Now, a lot of people who've just done been spending a lot of time as researchers, just done their PhDs, have experience working who've done their degrees in biomedicine or bioinformatics, for example, is a big one for us. We always look at those kind of profiles because they're working in university as a researcher, or some of the stuff they've been doing is going to be key to progressing with some of the research we're doing, like R&D teams, for example. Like we have a role available at the moment for like a junior. We don't take on like an amazing amount of juniors, I'll be honest, but it's something we're looking at changing in the future. Because we're looking at kind of putting ourselves within universities as well, so we can do like a graduate program. So we think that that'll be kind of a key thing to do in the future, so we can acquire new talent. Because a lot of people aren't taking on a lot of juniors at the moment. If you look at some of the tech giants, they've got a blanket They've got a blanket system on no juniors. I won't name names, but maybe I'll email them to you afterwards and you can have a look. Yeah, I'll put them in the chat afterwards. But yeah, there seems to be like this philosophy at the moment that juniors or graduates don't get hired. So we want to change that. Our mentality is good, right? Whether you've got 5 years experience or you're just coming out of university, we're always happy to have a conversation. It's about what your attitude, like I mentioned to you guys earlier, you could have 10 people in a row with the same skill set. Great. But we'll only hire the one person that holds our values, because every single person at BenchSci is completely different. However, in one way or another, we all hold the same values, which is really cool. So like our values are fast, focused, advancement, speed, tenacity, and transparency. They sound like your standard kind of values, but we have like awards for like the Fasty Awards for like people who hold our values. It's from day one in when you're onboarding, we talk about values and how they impact our role. Everything we talk about in our presentations is directed at that kind of values and how each person that comes in should hold those values in one way or another. And when we interview people, it's something we ask. Like, as an example, when I speak to people during our initial calls, one of my first questions will be for advancement, for example, in a field that's always changing, how do you stay up to date with modern trends? How are you advancing yourself? If they give you like Sofiane, for example, you'd be a good example because you go to meetups. You go to Python meetups and network with people within your industry. That's a great way of showing advancement. People who go to meetups, people who spend time, do some self-learning, progression. It's a great way of showing advancement. And that's like what we're looking for. But I think a lot of people in the industry are looking for stuff like that everyone holds their own kind of core values. We just tend to lean into them a bit more than most, I think.
It resonates with a lot of people that you want people that show initiative and that put an effort. Are there any other ways that you've seen people successfully do that, apart from, you mentioned going to meetups, that's clearly one. Anything else that you've seen that stands out on someone's resume or application?
Yeah, like personal projects, research papers they've done or like they've read, or stuff they've really lent into themselves. Have they done anything outside of meetups? Because anyone could just go to a meetup, right? I could pop to a meetup tomorrow. I could go on meetup.com now and find like a ping pong user group and go like, I'm going to go to that. It's easy. But are you pushing yourself to be like aligned to a certain industry for a reason? Are you researching the latest in your field? How are you doing that? Are you reading the papers? Are you doing, code sharing with other people? Have you been to a hackathon? Have you done all this other stuff within software engineering that makes you, hungry for the role? It's a great way to show people that, you have that want. And having that want and passion when you're applying for a role comes across so much better than your CV ever will. Attitude will beat a CV any day. Because you're going to talk, someone passionate is going to talk about what they do. Yeah, I'm a software engineer and I do X, Y, and Z. The reason I do this is because I love this, and they'll start to snowball, and it's like, wow, lots of information, great. But someone not passionate, you'd be like, I'll speak to them and be like, yeah, as you can see on my CV, I've been a software engineer for like 4 years, and that literally is like a conversation I've had with people before. I'm like, cool, you're a very seriously passionate guy. Is that the kind of, Are you going to want to work with that person? Probably not, right? So we do look for passion. We do look for people who, hold our values and are showing that want. I'd always say that and always refer back to that. People who show want in interviews and people who show passion for what they do can come across. Now, with that being said, it's hard for some people to display passion and want because some people have certain needs and certain abilities that just doesn't come across. So try and think of a way you can have it come across. If you're not verbal, if you're not a verbal person, and you are a bit shy and you can't come across, like me, I'm very verbal, as you can probably guess, talking your ears off. I don't mind talking. There are some people that are kind of the polar opposite to me. So their work needs to come across in, their GitHub accounts, their Stack Overflow, everything like that, stuff that's not verbal. There's more detail in there. That's their one. You can see that they're putting in the work in those aspects. So I think that's on the flip side how you can deal with that if you're not like a chatterbox like me.
I was actually going to ask you the question, for people that are maybe a bit more introvert or not as comfortable or not as expressive in terms of describing how well they do at things, what's the best way? And I think, using a GitHub profile or something like a portfolio is a good way of doing that.
You need to have a certain level of understanding that everyone's different, and you need to set yourself up for that. So just always have it in your mind: am I is everyone able to reach me? Is everyone able to understand me? And does this apply to everyone? Just kind of think about that when you're relaying information or expecting stuff from people. Are they like me? Are they different? Do they have different needs? I think if you are aware of that, it will go a long way. I mean, no one's an expert in knowing how to deal with, someone that's maybe an introvert other than themselves. So all you can do is have a certain level of understanding and try and approach that with care.
Do you remember when a candidate has surprised or amazed you? What did they do?
Do you know what? Candidate surprised me massively the other day. So a candidate interviewed for a machine learning role. No, sorry, not machine learning role. This is a knowledge graph engineer role. It was super technical. I'm not saying I really recruited for. So I was like, oh, you know what? I'm not too comfortable talking about this. So I'm just going to have to jump in 2 feet in. We did the introductions, and I promise you, he goes, Sean, can I stop you there? I was like, yeah, fine. I was like, where's this going? Have I offended him already? He just goes, no, I've got a presentation for you. I was like, sorry? And he's like, yeah, man, sit back and listen to this. And then I was just I sat there for 20 minutes watching him do his presentation. I was supposed to be taking notes. on all these interviews. I'm like, I'm not taking any notes, but it's so interesting what he's talking about. He was talking about using knowledge graph with a robot. And if he's saying that, he wants to make a coffee, the robot would then go and get the coffee cup and then bring it back to the coffee station to do this. And I was like, this is so interesting, especially because he works with AI and, the field we work in. I was like, this is super interesting stuff. And I was like, wow. I remember halfway through the interview, I was like, I messaged our hiring manager for this role. I was like, dude, check this guy out.
Come in.
He loves it. And it was awesome. But yeah, that was one that was definitely blown me away recently. But people are always surprising me in this field, especially within data engineering, data science. There are so many different people and so much skill in this industry, and the level of intelligence is insane. The guy in his spare time likes to build rockets. I'm not talking about toy rockets either. I'm talking about real rockets where he's probably on a watch list somewhere because he's buying and this is no exaggeration. He has to have communication with the government and the police to be like, look, I'm building this rocket just because I love rockets. And there's a whole group of them. Yeah, like this is a guy I interviewed the other day. He's amazing, most friendliest guy in the world. He was like, yeah, I always ask people like, if you had a day off tomorrow, what am I more than likely going to find you doing? So it helps me to understand them. Like, you are going to be rock climbing, and I literally said to him, "Are you going to be rock climbing? No, going for a walk or hike?" He goes, "Nah, I'm going to be building a rocket, mate." I was like, all right. Obviously, they go to the gym, but yeah, that's fine. But yeah,
That's
what I love
amazing
as well.
question.
It's so yeah, it's good. And do you know what? I asked at the start of the interview because it really loosens people up. Because the moment you like start talking about yourself, is the moment like you a bit more relaxed. You're like, I can talk about me in like a non-work sense. Now I can talk about me in a work sense with the same level of comfort. And that's what you want to do, right? Like, I never call them interviews. They're like, our recruiter screens are like the first step. But it's just, I always say like, look, it's just a chat between me and you for you to understand the company a bit better. I can understand you a bit better. At the end of the call, if you're not interested, we part ways as friends. Goes down really well, and it's me. I'm being sincere about it. Like, I hate people feeling uncomfortable during these calls because you don't get the best version of them. And that's what these calls are about, is finding out the best version of people. Like, what value are you going to add here? For me to do that, I need to see the best version of themselves. And the only way you can do that is for them to be comfortable, to be able to talk about that. So trying to make people feel as comfortable as possible is, I think, a key part for that kind of role.
Yeah, sorry, I'm still thinking about what the whole knowledge graph project, getting the coffee cup. That is pretty impressive project to have.
Did you get the job?
In your portfolio. Oh yeah,
it's still in process at the moment. This literally only happened like a couple of days ago. Like, like I was like, he hasn't even like this. He just had his call with me, and I'm like, wow. Like, so maybe he's on his way.
We'll follow up and add that to the show notes.
Yeah. Next episode, the presentation man, get his job.
On the next episode.
Yeah, obvious. So you've talked a lot about interviews and the stage at which you have the candidate in front of you and you can get a better sense of the human being. But what about before that, the sourcing part and going through CVs? How was it compared when you were in an agency compared to now when you're at BenchSci?
So agency recruitment is very different, and I'll catch a lot of stick for this if agency recruiters are going to see this. Like, some are different, some, not all agency recruiters. I'm just going to put this out there. Not all of you, because I did it. You'd have a role and you'd be competing against 3 other agencies. Probably not a good role if you're competing against 3 other agencies, but you're competing against other people, and time's of the essence. You've got a target to hit by the end of the month, and you're going to get paid. When there's a monetary value on a CV you send, a potential monetary value, you tend to send not the best quality, because it's a bit rushed, and you're just basically looking for kind of like keywords. Like, so I've had it lately where I've had an agency, not lately, this is like a few months ago, where an agency just sent me something with Python on, and the word Python came up maybe like 4 years ago. For a senior software engineer that's Python focused, you'd probably expect them to have used Python in the last year, I would say. But because it had like Python developer like 4 years ago, yeah, this guy will nail it. Let's just send him over. But when you work this side of the table, your hiring managers are your colleagues. So, and those potential hires are your colleagues. So what you bring in is a direct reflection of your work. So we spend a bit more time liaising with doing lengthy intake forms with the managers to understand the role, the technical ability that each person needs to have, the values that person needs to have. And then we do our searches. Like, we tell our hiring managers we're not going to get you a CV for like the first 2 weeks because we're going to want to do the right process. We want to find the right people. But if you spoke to an agency recruiter now, so say I put up a Python developer role now, I'd tell my hiring manager, it's going to be 2 weeks before you see a CV from me. It won't be, but I say that just because, I want to be able to do things properly. Agency recruiter will tell you he'll have CVs with you by the end of the day or tomorrow. You're like, have you really briefed them? Are you just sending me some stuff? And where we've got so many different TA folks here, where like everyone's a kind of a specialist within certain areas. Like for me, data and development has always been something I've always done. I did more development and then slowly transitioned to do more data as well. And so I know what I'm looking for. Like as a recruiter, I know what good looks like on a CV. I know what good looks like in a profile, and then that will only get you a certain way. But like then you have to speak to these people and be like, okay, they're the whole package because they have the right attitude and values as well. It's like a point I will always reiterate. You can have 10 people, same skill set, but only one of them has, our values. And that's what we need to really kind of lean into.
If you have one sort of machine learning role open, how many applications would you get typically? How many CVs would you receive?
You're receiving a high volume of profiles. And of those profiles, let's say you receive like 50 profiles, right? Of those, you'll probably do about anywhere between 20 and 30 recruiter screens. The rest will be rejected because, not rejected, but just told, maybe you're not right for this role. But you've got to be honest. We've got to spend the time reviewing the profiles and actually be honest and give them constructive feedback. Because if I just ignore them or send an email going, nah, not right for the role, see you later. Okay, why? Why am I right for the role? Give me some constructive feedback. That's why you need like people who've been doing this a while to give those candidates like the actual feedback about why. Because I think that's really important for candidate experience for a company as well. Talking about just being honest and giving them honest feedback about their profiles. I've been bluntly honest in the past before. I said, look, there's not enough information off your CV for me to go off. How am I supposed to know, or I expect to set up a call with you when you've got senior software engineer and no information about your role underneath? Literally, that's all it is. It was senior software engineer at X company. The dates they worked there for the past 5 years, and they couldn't put any bullet points about what they've done. So I was like, well, man, let's try and work on that, shall we? But in fairness, they reapplied, resent me a CV with all the details, and we set up a call. That person actually works here now, but because of constructive feedback. If you see this, hello. So yeah, look, as long as we're constructive, you can move in the right way. But not everyone wants feedback. Is the one thing I found. Not everyone can take constructive feedback. Like, I had a message the other day that said, have you actually reviewed my CV, or is this just a bot? I'm so tempted to write back 101111110000. But I thought, you know what? I'm an adult. I'll reply back to no, yeah, definitely. Like, why haven't you replied? Why have you rejected my profile? I'm like, look, it's just not right at this time for this role. And you didn't give me enough information. I think your experience is good, however, it's not relevant to this particular role. You've got to be honest about that stuff as well. Some people do get their back up when you try and give them constructive feedback, even when they ask for it, because they're looking for they want to hear stuff like, you're too experienced. They're like, yeah, maybe I thought so. You're like, no, I'm just being honest with you, dude. Yeah, there's it's finding that happy medium. So what we do is we typically sometimes send an email. You weren't successful at this point. Thank you for applying. We really appreciate your time. If you would like more feedback, please let us know. And we write notes on all the profiles that come in. So like it gives us the happy medium there, because if someone seems sorry, you're not successful at this time, most people will just move on and be like, oh, okay, cool.
The candidate experience is a very important thing because it's a reflection of what the company culture is like. It's likely that just because you've refused someone who have applied doesn't mean that you're never going to see that person again. They might interact with you as a customer or who knows, in other kind of capacities. So it's good to try to create a nice experience at every step in that journey because we're all human. It's good to be kind, to be nice to each other and leave a nice impression. So
it's free as well.
It's correct. Yeah, it doesn't cost much.
Yeah. It doesn't cost a thing. It might eat away your soul a little bit when you've got to be nice to the wrong people, but it's fun.
So you mentioned that you're thinking about creating a graduate program. I suppose what's the motivation behind that? Why do you think, first of all, other companies are not focused as much on graduates, and where do you see the opportunity of creating a graduate program to kind of formalize the process?
Yeah, I think you see a lot of new talent coming through the graduate schemes, and these are people we want to be able to grow into BenchSciers and mold them into specialists within the bioinformatics sector. We look at our people like our VP of engineering, for example, a guy called James Malone, been in bioinformatics. And Sofiane, you met him at the Python meetup. The guy's been in bioinformatics for like 25 years. Knows his stuff inside and out. Like, if we can potentially help create another version of him, or like help someone on that path, brilliant. I mean, if they go elsewhere in the future, that happens. But like for the time being, if we can help someone grow within a certain sector and make them, give them a niche, like we talked about earlier, niche it and niche it again and then niche it again, they're going to be in a really good like kind of career path. And if we can help along the way with that, cool. If they stay, even better. If they're a lifelong partner at BenchSci, that's even better as well. But the realist in me is people don't stay, like engineers don't stay for like forever. And that's just another ugly truth that people don't really talk about, to be honest. But
that's true. Are you currently recruiting any graduates for any specific roles?
I am. Actually looking for a kind of machine learning graduate at the moment. It's working with an R&D team. Mm-hmm. So this is this team's called the Discovery Team, working with our Chief Science Officer, Tom Long. And it's a bit of an interesting role, to be honest with you. Because it's research and development, you're going to be working on stuff like problems that have come from the scientific world, but implemented within kind of machine learning, and the problem solutions are going to come from machine learning and within Python and with our AI kind of field. So it's a super interesting role for someone who's going to jump in from having done all that research at university and then literally going to be able to put it straight into practice, because a lot of the kind of R&D stuff happens in like these university courses as well and a part of that PhD. So to then go from there, jumping straight into this kind of role, brilliant. Mm-hmm. So that's one of them we're recruiting at the moment. Like at the moment, Q4, we've done a really good job this year. So we've covered most of our roles for Q4. There's like a few things that we're just trying to cover off, and then focusing on Q1 now. We're just kind of releasing the headcount. So I don't even know what that potentially looks like and how many juniors we're going to have for next year. But the graduate program is something we're looking at. I think it's more so going to be rolled out in Canada first, because they're like the bigger end of the company. And then, if that's successful, we'll roll that out in the UK.
Are you looking for MSc level graduates or PhDs, or I suppose that kind of
MSc levels? Yeah.
MSc.
Yeah, I mean, I'll obviously look at people. We'll look at people from other aspects, from anywhere, really, any kind of postgraduates. Again, it's all about what they've done and who they are. The right kind of people coming at the right time is always welcome.
Sure, such a big part of it is timing as well. Sometimes you just got to be a bit lucky.
Yeah. Like I find that this time of year is maybe a little bit tough because people are still doing a lot when it comes to courses and stuff. So like, I think next year is going to be like the big push on, because that's the point people are going to be finishing up and then looking and kind of going into new roles. Like I'm speaking to someone already who's going to be finishing their postgrad like in summer, and they're not going to be looking for a role till like July. But like we were saying earlier, just because they're not right now doesn't mean they're not right for the future. So we have that conversation. They've got a really good profile. So you want to speak to people who look good, who are good and hold some good values, And I'm actually really looking forward to having this conversation with this person because he's made the effort to come and speak to me and be like, look, I saw BenchSci online. I've done my research. I want to speak to you. And I'm like, cool. That's also a really good tip. If you're looking for a new role, if you see a company that interests you, find the right person to speak to, reach out to them directly. Don't have to be as formal as like a CV or an application. Say, hey, how are you? You're a person, they're a person, be a person. You don't have to be this robot. You don't have to be this like corporate machine. You can be a human being and talk to another human being, and that goes a long, long way, in my eyes anyway.
Absolutely, yeah, and just be proactive. Get out there, research.
Yeah.
Meet people, connect with people on LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
Ask about the role. Ask people that you would be working with what the job would actually be like.
Yeah, I mean, I've just put a video up on my LinkedIn about what you should do now. There's so many layoffs happening across the US, North America, and the UK, I guess, at the moment as well. So now's a really good time for juniors as well when they first start looking for a new role. Now's a really good time to align what's important to you. Do I want to work for a big name just because it's a big name, or do I want to work somewhere that directly impacts change? Do I want to have ownership of something? Do I want to be somewhere I feel like I've contributed, rather than just being this little tiny clog in a huge corporate machine? Is that what you want, or are you just like literally just joining and saying like, am I going to join Meta just because it's Meta? Are you adding value there? Maybe, but at a junior level, probably not. Try and work. Maybe like if you want to add value somewhere from the get go, do your research, find out what's important to you, and start applying. Reach out to the right people, and have a good understanding of what it is you want to get out of a job. If you just want to go and earn some money, cool, go and work anywhere.
What would be your answer to people that focus a lot on the starting salary for a junior role? Is that something that's very career defining, or do you think it's more important to be at the right place?
I think knowing your worth is very important, but being aligned to an industry standard is also important. Like, I see a lot of people applying for roles way over what they should be applying for roles for, and they're surprised they're not finding work. I had a junior fresh out of university. Look, dude, I get it. You've got university bills to pay for, but no one's paying a junior 80K straight off the bat. I feel for you with student fees and stuff. Like, I really do. But I'm not. We can't be paying you that just so you can pay them off. Do you know what I mean? Know your value, but like, hats off to you. He thinks he's valued at 80K. Fair enough. If someone pays you 80K, brilliant, correct, well done, my man. But I think going into it, doing your research, finding out like a little bit more from roles that are posted online. There are websites you can use, like Market Research, Job Salary Checker, a salary checker on. You just type that into Google. You can check your industry salary for your level, and it will give you like a rough indication of what you should be asking for. But do also ask, if you're not sure, ask the recruiter, ask the person internal. Hey, just be honest. Like, hey, look, I've been doing my own kind of research. I'm a little bit unsure where I should be applying at. Now, internal recruiters aren't agency, so we'll give you a realistic answer to that question. We're not going to bump your salary up just so we can get a higher fee on you. We're not getting fees. We're not getting commission. So we'll give you an honest answer as to what we think your salary should be, and we'll try and educate you down that process. But yeah, I mean, if you don't know, ask. It's like whenever I get on the tube, my first thought is ask an adult, because I have no idea how I'm using the tube. I always just go and find the first person that's there. Excuse me, sir, how am I getting to this place? And he's like, yes, okay, mate, you go this way. So yeah, just follow the basics. If you're stuck, ask someone for help.
You touched upon this a bit earlier. What do you think is the impact of the recession on graduate recruitment? Is this a good time for graduates, or should students be a bit concerned?
I mean, we're in it already. Let's be honest.
In the UK, yeah.
Anyway,
in the US as well. Actually.
Yeah, in the UK, like everyone was like, the recession's coming. I'll be like, buddy, it's here. we're living in it. Look, some industries are recession proof, so they're going to naturally recruit anyway. I'm yet to see what the implications of it are. I think that's going to come more apparent in early 2023. When people come towards the end of their postgraduate courses, come into their degrees. I think that then is going to be the next block of roles being recruited for, and we're really going to see what happens when, is there going to be a whole load of students, postgraduates, out of work? Or is it going to be really beneficial and a lot of people are going to be trying to hire juniors because they can't afford the seniors? That's what that might happen. That's one thing I think may happen. I've heard rumours of a few people doing that and hiring juniors, because it's maybe easier to hire juniors during a recession than it is a senior software engineer asking for quadruple the amount of juniors asking for.
True, yeah, and sometimes not necessarily justified. But I've seen that as well, especially in large organizations. Yeah. When they cut costs, they trim the fat from the senior management side.
We're about to wrap up. Is there anything that we haven't asked you and that you would like to mention?
Yeah. Closing thought, my one bit of advice, anyone looking for a role, if you can afford not to rush, take the time, think about where you want to be, what's important to you, and focus on those aspects when it comes to looking for a role. Because your career is your career and no one else's. So don't be pressured into taking a role that isn't right for you. Work somewhere that's right for you, makes you happy, and you're going to enjoy it. There's people say, oh, people just work for money. Okay, those people are really unhappy. I enjoy my job. I'm sat here happy as anything because I enjoy my work. Because I've joined a company that's right for me, and I enjoy the work I do, and I enjoy having conversations with folks like yourself. And makes me want to. I don't fear Monday. Is basically I'm not gagging for Friday. I love a Friday. Don't get me wrong. But, I'm not dying for it. So yeah, just take the time to try and think about your personal values and how you want them to affect your career and your life in the future when you start looking for a new role.
Words of wisdom.
One thing I was told, do you know the difference between wisdom and knowledge? Knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. Those are...
Yeah. I think I actually literally heard it 2 days ago or something.
I did. I think there's someone playing rugby was saying it the other day, and I thought it was brilliant. But also, if you want to hear more about recruitment tips and stuff like that, and what's going on at BenchSci, anyone wants to follow me on LinkedIn? My name's Sean Kennedy. Always happy to have a chat. And yeah, the door's always open at BenchSci.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sean. So that's Sean Kennedy at LinkedIn. Don't put tomatoes in your fruit salad, and think about how much you hate your money.
Yeah, nice.
This is amazing. Thank you so much.
Guys,
Sean.
thank you so much.
Really appreciate your time.
Pleasure.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you later.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.